Good day, level casters. Today, we embark on a pivotal journey through recent history, delving into an event that reshaped the geopolitical landscape and epitomized the triumph of human spirit over oppressive division, the fall of the Berlin Wall. This iconic structure, a stark physical manifestation of the Cold War's ideological chasm, stood for nearly 3 decades as an insurmountable barrier, separating families, friends, and an entire nation. Its sudden, dramatic collapse in November 1989 was not merely a local phenomenon. It sent ripples of hope and change across the globe, signaling the imminent end of a tense, nuclear-shadowed era. Understanding the intricacies of its construction, the daily hardships endured by those living in its shadow, and the confluence of factors that ultimately led to its dismantling, offers invaluable insights into the dynamics of international relations, the power of popular movements, and the enduring human desire for freedom and unity. We will explore the historical context that necessitated such a brutal division, examining the post-World War II landscape and the burgeoning ideological conflict between the Soviet-backed East and the Western democracies. This narrative will highlight the immense human cost of the wall, chronicling the desperate attempts at escape, the tragic losses, and the psychological toll inflicted upon millions. Furthermore, we will dissect the internal and external pressures that gradually eroded the East German regime's authority, paving the way for the peaceful revolution that culminated in that extraordinary night. Prepare yourselves for a compelling exploration of courage, resilience, and the indelible mark left by a wall that, against all odds, eventually crumbled under the weight of its own historical burden and the collective will of a people yearning to be free. The genesis of the Berlin Wall can be traced back to the immediate aftermath of World War II, when Germany, and its capital Berlin, were divided into 4 Allied occupation zones. While the Western powers, the United States, Great Britain, and France, sought to foster democratic institutions and economic recovery in their sectors, the Soviet Union, controlling East Germany, pursued a socialist agenda, establishing a communist state. This ideological divergence quickly solidified, transforming the temporary occupation lines into an impenetrable iron curtain that bisected Europe. Berlin, an island of Western democracy deep within Soviet-controlled territory, became a potent symbol of this Cold War standoff. West Berlin, with its thriving capitalist economy and cultural freedoms, acted as a powerful magnet for East Germans dissatisfied with their authoritarian regime and struggling economy. Between 1949 and 1961, an estimated 2.7 million East Germans, many of them skilled professionals, fled to the west through Berlin, severely depleting the East German workforce and threatening the very viability of its state. This mass exodus, often referred to as voting with one's feet, was an unbearable embarrassment and an economic drain for the German Democratic Republic, GDR, and its Soviet patrons. The East German leadership, under pressure from Moscow, concluded that the only way to stem this tide and prevent the collapse of their state was to physically seal off the border. Thus, in the pre-dawn hours of August 13, 1961, East German soldiers and construction workers, under strict military escort, began erecting barbed wire fences and concrete barriers, effectively severing all connections between East and West Berlin. This audacious act caught the world by surprise and plunged international relations into a new level of tension, transforming a city into a divided spectacle, a grim testament to the Cold War's unforgiving realities. For nearly 3 decades, the Berlin Wall stood as an unyielding scar across the heart of Berlin, a tangible symbol of oppression and division. Life in its shadow was fraught with peril and psychological strain. Families remained separated, communication was severely restricted, and any attempt to cross the heavily fortified border was met with deadly force. Over 140 people are documented to have died attempting to escape across the wall, either shot by border guards, drowned in the Spree River, or killed in other perilous endeavors. Yet, the spirit of resistance and the yearning for freedom never truly extinguished. Throughout the 1980s, a confluence of factors began to erode the foundations of the East German regime. Economic stagnation, exacerbated by a rigid command economy, led to widespread disillusionment. The rise of Mikhail Gorbachev in the Soviet Union, with his policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, sent tremors of reform throughout the Eastern Bloc, signaling a reduced Soviet willingness to intervene militarily to prop up satellite states. Inspired by these changes and the burgeoning protest movements in other Eastern European nations, particularly Hungary and Poland, East Germans began to publicly demand greater freedoms and political reforms. Weekly Monday demonstrations in Leipzig grew exponentially, attracting hundreds of thousands of participants chanting, "Wir sind das Volk." We are the people. The pressure mounted inexorably. On November 9, 1989, in a moment of extraordinary miscommunication and under immense public pressure, a GDR government spokesperson, Gunter Schabowski, mistakenly announced during a live press conference that new travel regulations allowing East Germans to cross the border, immediately, without delay, were effective. Within hours, thousands of East Berliners converged on the border crossings, demanding passage. Overwhelmed and without clear orders, the bewildered border guards, faced with an unstoppable human tide, eventually opened the gates. The scenes that followed were unimaginable: jubilant crowds streaming into West Berlin, weeping families reunited, strangers embracing, and people clambering onto the wall, chipping away at its concrete with hammers and chisels. The world watched in awe as a symbol of brutal division was transformed into a stage for joyous liberation. The fall of the Berlin Wall on that momentous November night was more than just a local event. It was a watershed moment in 20th-century history, a powerful catalyst that accelerated the collapse of communist regimes across Eastern Europe and heralded the swift end of the Cold War. The images of ordinary citizens dismantling the wall with their bare hands resonated globally, inspiring movements for freedom and democracy far beyond Europe's borders. For Germany itself, the wall's demise paved the way for reunification, a process that culminated less than a year later, on October 3, 1990. The economic, social, and psychological challenges of integrating two vastly different systems were immense and continue to be addressed even today, but the symbolic healing of a divided nation was profound. Internationally, the event fundamentally altered the geopolitical landscape. The Soviet Union, already weakened by internal strife and economic woes, lost its grip on Eastern Europe, leading to its eventual dissolution in 1991. The bipolar world order, dominated by the rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, gave way to a new, more complex international dynamic. The fall of the wall demonstrated the immense power of nonviolent popular protest and the inherent fragility of even the most formidable authoritarian regimes when confronted by a determined populace yearning for fundamental human rights. It stands as a timeless testament to the enduring human desire for freedom, self-determination, and the simple right to move freely and connect with others. While remnants of the wall still exist as poignant memorials, its true legacy lies in the triumph of hope over despair, unity over division, and the undeniable truth that no physical barrier, however imposing, can forever suppress the human spirit's quest for liberty.
That was an incredibly powerful story.
Yes, the sheer scale of the historical impact is astounding.
I never fully grasped the daily fear people lived with.
Me neither. The human cost was immense.
The miscommunication that led to the opening is fascinating.
It's like history turned on a single accidental phrase.
The "Wir sind das Volk" chants must have been electrifying.
Absolutely, the power of collective voice.
It's remarkable how quickly events unfolded after that.
From division to reunification in under a year.
The psychological scars must have been deep.
Enduring, even for generations.
It makes you appreciate freedom so much more.
Indeed, a fundamental human right.
I wonder what the world would be like if it hadn't fallen.
A very different and likely colder place.
This lesson really brings history to life.
It truly does, in a vivid way.
What a truly pivotal moment.
A true turning point for the world.
I feel much more informed now.
That was a great lesson.
I agree. Keep learning, Levelcasters.
Until next time, Levelcasters, keep exploring, keep learning.